Hey, welcome to Relentless Positivity Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Martin. Hey, I got an exciting guest here today for you. Today, my guest is Percy Bass. He's a registered dietitian. He's the owner of Head2Toe Fitness Studio in Arlington, Texas. He's a husband. He's a father. He's the author of the new book, The D.O.P.E Method. We'll talk about that later in that. And he's not only a registered dietitian, though. He's the tell it like it is dietitian. Percy, thanks for coming on, man.
Man, it's good to have me, man. I appreciate you for inviting me on today to the Relentless podcast.
That's it, man. So, a reason I want to have Percy on, man, he's got not only has great information, he's got to do it the right way out in the world. And we were talking a little bit before we came on that there's some people out there doing it the wrong way. So I'm trying to highlight people like Percy. He's got a great story, and I want y'all to learn from him out here. So I want to learn about first is your story of how you got into the health and fitness space, because I think your why is so powerful, man. I think if people know that, they'll know what you're all about.
So, I've been an athlete all my life, right? And so, that kind of came natural. But actually getting into the health and fitness space was, it was happenstance. So, as I talk about it in the book, it was it was Thanksgiving of 2001. Now, prior to that, I had moved to Dallas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And where I was working, I had, got a relationship with a guy, and we was really, really cool. And and because of his religious background, he was kind of talking about certain ways to eat. And so I was like, okay, so I would listen to him, and I started kind of eating a different way. But nothing major, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
cut out beef and pork and stuff like that. But, and because I was always working out, people at the job would ask me, some things. They figured I knew everything since I was working out. And so I would kind of give some advice, but it wasn't anything earth shattering, right? And so it was November, like I said, Thanksgiving of 2001. I had gone home for the holidays, and we were sitting at Thanksgiving dinner. Now, African American family, traditional Thanksgiving dinner, turkey dressing, sweet potatoes, you name it, we had it, right? And so we finished eating, and in customary fashion, my mother got up and asked my uncle, who was my great uncle, asked him, hey, what do you want for dessert? So he asked her, he said, well, what do you have? She said, well, I got some peach cobbler, I have some sweet potato pie, some pumpkin pie, some pecan pie. And he said, okay. He said, well, give me a little bit of both, right? And when he said that, my grandmother, which was his sister, was like, now, Dan, you don't need all of that with your sugar. Now, in African American community, we call diabetes sugar, right? So the next thing that he said really like changed the trajectory of my life. He said, well, Irene, he's like, we all gotta die from something, and I'm gonna enjoy these sweets. And when he said that, it took me back, right? I was like, okay, so you just saw your brother-in-law get his leg amputated because of complications with diabetes. He didn't have like 4 fingers cut off because of complications with diabetes. That other family members have had complications with diabetes, but yet and still, you're gonna leave these sweets, these desserts, you're gonna leave your life into the hands of these Thanksgiving desserts, right? And so at that moment, man, I kind of sat back, and it wasn't nothing I really could say at that time. I mean, you don't, go against your elders, at the dinner table in front of people, right? But I was like, you know what? If I could just gain the knowledge, about diabetes, about heart disease, if I could gain that knowledge and actually at a high level, because I wanted people to look at me and say, okay, they would listen. Like, you have people in your family where they think they know everything.
Oh
But I
yeah.
figured if I went to school and I got the information right and got a degree in it, then my family members would listen to me. And so that's what I did, man. I came back to Dallas and I started researching, what's the programs I needed, and found a dietetic program at Texas Women's University. Man, I got in that, finished that degree, did my internship at Iowa State, came back and sat for my registrations exam, man, and that's what catapulted me into getting into the nutrition space, just from a simple conversation at a dinner table, man.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing, man, because so many people would have heard that and be like, oh, well, that's not good, and just gone about their business. But man, you were like, hey, this ain't right. I got to change something. That's what makes you different, man. That's what I like about you. And if people
Yeah.
don't know, listen to what he all went through. I mean, a degree had to sit for. I mean, this is a weekend certification this guy went through to learn about this stuff. So tell him kind of a little about your training. Like went into like what kind of internship did you have?
So it's funny because like when you graduate and you go in, and it's called a matching system, right? And so um you have like 3 schools that you want to go to, or 3 internships that you want to go to, and so you write those down, and then the schools, if you're their number one and they're your number one, y'all match, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go from 6 months to 18 months, like internships. And so I'm thinking like, all right, well, 6 month internship, I'm good. So Iowa State has a 6 month internship. And so I'm thinking that, oh, well, that's gonna be easier than doing that 12 to 18 month internship. And so when they were my second choice and I was their second choice, so we matched.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there and come to find out that, yeah, it's 6 months, but we had to do everything, in like 2 week increments opposed to like 1 month increments. So it was pretty intense, right? Because we were doing our modules and our rotations like every 2 weeks opposed to a month. So just learning about the intricacies of diabetes, and just going to the different hospitals, sitting with different patients, looking at different foods and how they affect the body, man. It was eye opening. Learning about renal disease and effects on the kidneys, and it's a lot more to it than just saying, hey, you need to drink water, or hey, you need to eat this, but how it affects the person individually. And so yeah, it was a process, but man, I wouldn't go back and do anything different, man.
How about that winter? That first winter you had up there? How was that first winter?
Bro, listen. I'm glad you asked that, right? Because I got there, and when I got to Cedar Rapids, I unloaded and everything, and got settled in. The next morning, I couldn't crank up my car. And I was like, so finally I was able to get it, and I got it to the gas station, or little place where they worked on cars, and they were like, yeah, man, you must not be from here. You didn't winterize your vehicle, right? And so they had to winterize the vehicle, make sure that the gas pump wouldn't freeze, gas line wouldn't freeze. And then, man, just being on Iowa State campus, walking across the
Mm.
like the yard, I mean, I had never experienced anything like that. Like, you think something's in your nose, right? But it's your nose hairs are froze, man. So it was, bruh, it was bad. But again, man, I enjoyed every minute of it though.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Man, they just crammed your 18 months into 6 months, so they didn't tell
They
you that
crammed
part, huh? Yeah.
they crammed 18 months into 6 months, man. So yeah.
That's awesome. I just want people to get a background that, like I said, you get some people to get a weekend certification and they know it all. Man, he's been in the trenches, seen it firsthand in the hospitals and all that good stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
man, you've been in the game for a long time. What's kind of your nutrition philosophy?
So it's kind of twofold, man. I always tell people out the gate, like, nutrition doesn't have to be boring or bland. One thing about that is when people, come to me and I say, okay, well, we're gonna talk about cleaning up your diet. Then they be like, oh man, you're gonna have me eating twigs, or you're gonna have me eating broccoli and dry chicken breast. And I'm like, nah, that's not what I do, right? Like,
No.
I'm not gonna, I don't eat broccoli and dry chicken breast,
Mm-mm.
so I'm not gonna have you do it, right? Understanding, man, that the way we cook our food sometimes, putting certain foods together, spices and herbs, man, brings out the flavor. A
Right.
lot of times we forget what food really tastes like because we've doctored it up so much, man. And so just getting people to understand that healthy eating doesn't have to be first of all, it doesn't have to be the same thing every day. Now, some people can do that if they want to, just stay on a strict regimen, but it doesn't have to be boring, and it can taste wonderful, man, putting certain things together. And so that's really what I push towards people. And then on the back end, I let people know that you have food, you have quality, and you have quantity, right? Because I work with a lot of people who want to lose weight. And I always tell them, like, it's food quantity is 1A, but food quality is 1B, right? And so you can eat the healthiest diet, right? But if you overeat it and eat more calories
Oh
than
yeah.
you need, then you're not gonna lose weight. Like, that's just what's gonna happen, right? But I also tell people that, hey, so that's food quantity. But I also say on the back end, we need to be eating the right types of foods, right? Because you can be in a caloric deficit and lose weight, right? But if you're eating, I know you might have heard the Twinkie diet, right?
Oh
Like if
yeah.
you eat 1,200 calories of Twinkies, you're gonna look like a Twinkie, right? You're gonna be built like a Twinkie. You know what I'm saying? Even though you might have lost weight, we call you skinny fat, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Hey, I saw one the other day. This dude ate nothing but potatoes, just
right,
potatoes.
yeah,
He looked
yeah.
like a potato, man. You nailed it. He looked like
Hey,
one.
that's it, man. So, I try to go about it by, just, keeping it simple, giving people the understanding that, you can still add things into your meals, try different things. And, just make sure that if you're trying to lose weight, be in a caloric deficit, but you don't have to starve yourself. And then just start eating some of the right foods, man. Just, don't just eat trash all the time.
Yeah, and the thing about that is your advice is so good because it's sustainable. It's not some, oh man, I'm on this for January and then I fall off because I hate eating like this. It's a way you can actually enjoy your food, get results, and keep at it. Man, that's a
Yep.
great advice that you won't see everywhere. So that's why one thing is it's so awesome because that's why you get results long term. If you can do it
Oh
long
yeah.
term, you can do it, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, kind of related. What are some diet nutrition myths you wish would just die forever?
So you say nutrition myths that I wish could just die forever. Um, well, one is that eating after 7 o'clock is gonna make you gain weight, right? Like people come in there like, Percy, I try not to eat after 7 o'clock, and I'm like, okay. And I ask them why. Well, because if I do, I'm gonna gain weight. Like, that apple is 80 calories at 6:59, and it's at 7:01, it's still 80 calories, right? Like, if you get in the calories that you need throughout the day as a whole, then you'll be fine. And I do tell people like, hey, now you don't want to eat and then go right to bed. Like, you
Hmm.
don't want to, shovel some food in your mouth and then go lay down. So give yourself a little window. But if you're staying up until 12 o'clock, then if you're hungry at 9:30, have a snack. Like, why not? As long as it fits into your calories for the day, you're gonna be fine, right? And so I understand about intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting every so often. I get all of that. But for the person who is just coming and trying to get into it, man, we got to keep it simple, man. We can't be making it hard, and you have to stop eating at this time and start eating at this time, man. Just eat sensibly, eat within your caloric, realm, and you'll be fine, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So I know that we share kind of a similar philosophy on this. What are your thoughts on carbs? They're the devil, right? You can't eat carbs and be successful, right?
Man, hey, first of all, carbs are your first energy source, right? Now, people, I saw somebody say the other day, they posted a picture, and they had a piece of meat, they had some tomatoes, they had some lettuce, and they had like some mangoes, right? And then the person said, man, I wish I had some carbs. And I was like, one, those are carbs on your plate, right? But I didn't want to blast them. I understood what they were saying,
Yeah.
right? They wanted some potatoes, rice, and stuff like that. But what we have to understand that, carb gives us energy. It's a difference between saying I want carbs, but I want these processed carbs,
Hmm.
right? Like, carbs are, in a diet, are very beneficial. Like, carbs come from fruit, carbs come from vegetables, carbs come from grains, whole grains and seeds and nuts. We could get carbs from that, right? In a good way. What we're talking about that we don't want you to do is eating those processed carbs like Pop Tarts, cakes, cookies, chips, and stuff like that. That's what we don't want, right? So, to what you just said, man, maybe we need to start saying, just really saying that. Stop eating processed. Like,
Yeah.
processed is the devil, right? Not carbs, but
Right.
processed foods is the devil. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. If it comes from the earth, you're probably gonna be all right. If it came from the earth,
Probably gonna be all right, man.
yeah.
I hate when people say, I can't, a lady hit me up the other day and she was like, I was doing a meal plan for her, and she said, hey, I don't eat bananas. And I said, okay, you're allergic? And she was like, nah, I just don't eat bananas because they have too much sugar in them. And I was like, okay. I was like, again, I didn't want to blast her, but I was just like, do you like bananas? And she was like, yeah, I used to love bananas, but it just got too much sugar in them. And I was like, well, you gotta think of all the other things that's in bananas as well. I mean, we can we can cut something else out if you really want the banana, right? And so people don't realize that, man. They think that, fruits. They can't have fruits because they have too much sugar and it's going to raise the blood sugar. Actually, with the fiber that's in the fruit, it slows down digestion, which doesn't give a spike. So we just got to educate these people, man. Like I enjoy it, you know, just like I talk now, I talk to people. Like I enjoy telling people, you know, the truth about it and educating them so they can understand, man, I can still live. I don't, you know.
Yeah. Hey, that's why you call him the tell it like it is dietitian.
And like
And
it is
hey,
dietitian.
like I said, he's not gonna blast you. He just comes from a place of love. He's just letting you know, educate, and that's what he likes doing. So, let's talk about this. I know you see some common themes with a lot of your clients. What are some the most common problems you see with your clients, and how do you help them overcome those?
So usually, you know, usually overeating. I don't really like at the beginning, I have people write down what they're eating because we kind of underestimate what we eat
Right. Sure.
sometimes. You know, somebody will come to me and say, I don't think I eat enough. And I'm like, all right, well, let's look at it. Let's make sure that that's the truth. Because you know, maybe sometimes you are overeating, you're not realizing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know, people are overeating, not thinking that their snacks count, right? So they're underestimating their calories. So I really have people take a look at the whole day. Um, People are not getting enough water. You know, they're substituting water with like tea, with like sweet tea, not like green tea, but like sweet
Right.
teas and stuff like that. You know, and just, you know, people wanting to actually, you know, lose weight. And I come to them and get them moving, and just cleaning up certain habits, right? So what I've learned is that, you know, if somebody comes to me and they want like a meal plan, the first thing we do is get them on different habits. Are you getting in enough water a day?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting in your vegetables? You know, are you getting enough sleep? Once we get them done on their habits, they, you know, the habits go for about, you know, 21 days. They lost about 10 pounds. And that's just cleaning up those habits, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
not giving them a specific meal plan. That's not none of that, right? So just getting people to follow the basics, right? And to just, you know, be real simplistic with it, man, and understand that if I can create habits that are good for me, then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, that's it. And then hey, the basics are around for a reason. They've been working our whole lives, right? So they're
Yeah,
around for a reason. People want to get too fancy, I think, and then you mentioned intermittent fasting, which works great for some people, terrible for
yeah,
other people. I
yeah.
mean, you start with the basics first, then we can get into stuff like that, right? So you can maybe we'll look at that down the road. Let's just clean up this right here. When's the last vegetable you ate? I know for a long time, man, I wasn't eating vegetables. When my son was little, he was. I was like, hey, you better finish your vegetables. Meanwhile, only vegetables I'm eating is like if I get some wings, I might eat some celery that goes with it, right? So that's when I
Right.
started. I was like, man, I'm a hypocrite, and that's when I
Yeah,
started eating because I don't like vegetables. I didn't until I
yeah,
learned how to cook them, right? So
exactly.
how do you teach people that are busy people? It's like I don't have time to cook. How do you help people like that?
So, you know, I tell them, you know, I ask them the question, do you really not have time, right? Or you won't make the time, right?
Mm,
Because if you can sit around and you can watch Netflix, if you can sit around and you can make time to do other things, then you can actually make time to meal prep, right? And you know, then they say, okay, well, maybe I can do it on a Sunday. And what I do is I tell them again, get some recipes, get some like one pan recipes, get some easy, you know, 4 or 5 ingredient recipes that's going to get you, you know, your protein, get you healthy fat, your vegetables and stuff. Get that in so that you won't be in the kitchen all day, but you will have prepped, right? Because you know, a lot of people, you know, say, well, okay, well, I don't like cooking. Okay, well then let's say you don't like cooking. What's your other alternative? Oh, well, I go get fast food. Okay, if that's what I have to work with, Joe, then we gonna look at what McDonald's have on their menu. You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
yeah.
We're gonna look at what Subway has on their menu. You know, and I'm a challenge them, you know, to say, let's go to Subway if you have Subway, you know, in your office or area, and let's not have a sub sandwich. Let's have a salad. You can make anything that you would do with a sub on a salad, right?
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna challenge them because all it is a lot of times is them coming out of their comfort zone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you really are, you know, always on the go, then we're gonna figure out. We're gonna find restaurants that you like to go to, like Chipotle. Like I never really enjoyed Chipotle, right? I never really went to Chipotle until like this past couple of weeks. And I was walking through the line, I was like, okay, I can, you know, this will work, right? And
Hmm.
so in talking with members and clients, like, all right, if you want to go to these different places, then we need to find what's going to work, right? We need to, you need to know the portion sizes, because they're going to give you more than what you need.
Yep.
So once you finish and get that bowl and cut that bad boy in half and then save the rest for later, we're going to learn that, because if it's true that you really are busy and you can't do these things, there's always an option, man.
That's it. And that's real life right there. That's not just, hey, you need to be eating chicken and broccoli all day long and come back
Right.
tomorrow, That's how real life works for people. That's what you're all about. And that's awesome. So so in your personal life, man, you're coaching health and fitness all day long. You're a business owner. Now you wrote a book sometime, I don't know what spare time, because you're married, you got 4 kids. How do you make it all work?
Man, I try to think about this whenever I kind of, it hits me and I'm feeling down, or I always say that I chose entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
Right. And so when in entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurship is a calling, but it's still a choice, right? So you have people who have 9 to 5s. They have 9 to 5. When they come home, they leave work at the job, right? We can't do that. We can't do that. So it's times where I wake up, and I'm at the studio, man, and my kids are not even up, right? It's times where I get back home and they gone to bed, right? So I have to try to balance it, like I'm able to, I've made it to where I'm able to take my kids to school on certain mornings, so I can, see them and spend that time with them. Certain days I don't have to go into the studio, so I can be around. I make myself available throughout the day, so that if school calls, I can be, I can be around. Making sure that when I get home, spending that time closing the computer, man. Sometimes it's hard because you want to send
Yep.
that last email, or you
Yeah.
want to, respond to that last text, man. But understanding that, you might have a spouse that understands that you're an entrepreneur, understands that everything that you go through, but they still need their time, right? So you still have to find that balance to make you work, man, and just really hope and pray that you have somebody that understands, because some people don't have that person,
Yeah.
but understanding that this is something that you chose. So, and when you're at the top, hey, you chose that, but when you're at the bottom, hey, this is what you
You chose
chose,
that too.
man. So
I'm not gonna lie, man. Every now and then I have these days. I'm like, man, I wish I had a 9 to 5. I could just turn it off and be done till the next day. Then I'm like, no, I remember working for somebody. I can't do it anymore. So I heard a
yeah,
definition of entrepreneurship one time: someone that quits a 40-hour week job to work 100 hours for themselves.
right, and that's true. And it's funny, man, because like now I look back on when I was working at the hospital, man, and man, I would leave work and I would go home, man, and that's when DVDs was out, right? So yeah, well, DVDs was out at that time, right? And so I had a lot of DVDs, put it like that, right? So I would come home and, man, I'll pop in a DVD and watch like 2 movies, man. I mean, I had that free time,
Hmm.
right? It was literally a lot of time. And then once I got out of the hospital setting, man, and started, doing the entrepreneur thing, man, I rarely even watch TV now, man. And it's not because I don't want to. Some days I just say today's a mindless day. And
Hmm.
I just sit back and I just put Netflix on, I watch some documentaries, I just let it go, right? And it feels good. But now, because everything falls on me, it feels like that if I'm doing that, I'm neglecting the business, or I could be doing something more productive, man. But we all have to have those days, man, where we just do self-care and just allow ourselves to just live, man. But yeah, it can be hard sometimes, man. I know you know just as
Yeah.
much as I do.
Hey, it's a lot, man. It's a grind, man, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I know you wouldn't either. So, I mean,
Yep.
speaking of the book, let's get into the book, man. First of all, what's the title of the book, and what does DOPE stand for?
So the book is called The Dope Method, right? So a little bit of backstory behind dope, right? So I know you're in Alabama,
Hmm.
right? And so if you think back to like the late 80s, I mean, well, mid to late 80s, early 90s, in the rap game, the word dope people really started pushing the word dope, right? Now, there is a negative connotation to that word, right? With the drugs and stuff like that. But when they started in the rap game, started talking about dope, that means that something was really, really good, right?
Hmm.
And so um that's on the East Coast and that's up north, but I'm in the South. And so, and I'm in, Texas. And so we don't really say dope a lot, right? Like every word almost on the East Coast and up North is, that's dope. This is dope, dope, this, that. So when we say the word dope, or when I say the word dope, something has to be like eclectic. Something has to be just really, really, nice and cool, right? So I was going through a process, man, where I was creating a program, and somebody asked me, they said, what is what do you want people to take from your program? How do you want people to see your program, right? And so I was kind of going through some words. I was writing words down, and I was like, all right, I want people to understand healthy eating doesn't have to be boring or bland. So maybe that's cool, or understand that foods, look at foods as nourishment. So that's kind of live. I was just writing words down, right? And so all of a sudden, this picture came in my head of a shirt, and the shirt says "God is dope."
Yeah, I've
And
seen
I was like, yeah, that's true. I was like, man, but nutrition is dope. Like nutrition is dope. Like I wanted people to just get that feeling. Like when I say it, I'm like, that's dope, right? So I wanted people to get that feeling like nutrition is dope. So I started hashtagging nutrition is dope and everything. And so when I was writing the book had a whole nother name, right? And so um, as I was going through it, I was like, you know what? I was like, we're gonna call this book the Dope Method, because that's how I want people to view nutrition. And so, man, in the Dope Method, man, the D stands for decide and declare, right? And so you can have the best intentions, right? You can say, man, I want to go to Mexico, or I want to go on a trip to Turks and Caicos, right? And you can have all those wants, but until you make a decision that you're going to do it, right? Until you say, hey, I'm going to do it, you sign the paper, you buy the ticket and stuff like that. All it is a want and a wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the D stands for decide and declare. That's the first thing that you have to do, right? And so I have, when I'm going through the Dope Method with clients, I have them, tell me what make a decision on what it is you want to do, right? Because you have so many things. I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle. I want to, I want to do this. I want to do it. Okay, let's make a decision on what it is that we want to do. Then make a declaration over that nothing is going to keep you from doing that, right? So I want to lose, 15 pounds. All right. So we have a decision, we made a decision. We're going to start today. Now I need you to declare over that. Like, nothing is going to keep me from doing this. Not friends asking me to happy hour, not me getting distracted. This is my declaration statement, right? So then the O stands for optimize. So what optimization is, when I talk to people about optimizing, I use the computer analogy. So when you say, so your computer's going slow, and so you take it to get it fixed, and you say, hey man, I want to, get my speed optimized, because I want my computer to run faster, right? So that's that, the Geek Squad might say, okay, well, we can clean it up for $9.99 and it's going to run at this speed. But for $29.99, we're gonna put a program on there, put some, clean it up, put some spyware on there, and it's gonna run at this speed. But for $99.99, what I'm saying, we're gonna come in, we're gonna clean it, we're gonna do the hard drive, put this malware, spyware, everything on there, man, and your internet, everything gonna be running at fast speed, right? So when we talk about optimization, what they're doing is they give you everything to make it faster, except what? They don't give you a new computer.
Yeah.
They just optimize that, right? So we don't give ourselves a new body, right? We just have to optimize what we have. And so I tell people, like, okay, you know where you are. Like, you might be starting from scratch. And you say, man, all I want to do is I got to take baby steps. Okay, well, maybe the baby steps is you getting in your water a day, and you eating one big ass salad a day, right? Let's take baby steps, right? So that's the $9.99 boy, right? So then if somebody said, well, nah, I'm kind of past that, right? I'm ready to go to the next level. Okay, well, let's get your water in. Let's get you eating certain things. Let's get you moving 3 to 5 times a week, and let's get your sleep going, right? Let's get you sleeping 7 to 9 hours. That's that $29.99 boy, right? And so but it's all depending on you, where you are. You can start at $9.99 and then bump your way up, or you might say, you know what, person, I need the whole kit and caboodle. I need that $99.99 boy, and so I want to change my diet totally. I want to go plant-based. I want to start working out 5 times a week. I want to start doing that. And so you just let them know, all right, you know what I'm saying? Let's go for it. But you know where you are, you know what you can handle. And at some point, either you're gonna go for the gusto or you're gonna start slow and optimizing where you are. The P stands for prioritize me, right? And we get I know you work with like women over 40. And so I get a lot of people that come in, a lot of women that come in and say, hey, I don't have time. The time thing again, like I don't have time because I have to do this for the kids. I have to do this for my husband. I have to do this. So the P stands for prioritize me. When you're on the plane and the first thing they tell you is if the oxygen pressure decreases, you grab your oxygen mask, put your oxygen mask on you first, and then you place the oxygen mask on the kids, right? Why? Because you have to be able to breathe in order to help somebody else. So I always tell them, like, prioritize you. Just because you're prioritizing your health doesn't mean that you're neglecting anybody else, right?
Exactly.
Like if you have 30 to 45 minutes a day to, in your day, then go get some movement in. Like go, whatever you're gonna do. Like I mean, you can lift weights, you can get on a treadmill, whatever. I just need you moving, right? And so just go for a walk. And so I tell people prioritize, you in order, with self-care, so you can make sure that you're there for the people that you love.
Man, that's
And
such a big one right there. That if we can get that going, because I mean that's what I work with the women. You're going to be a better mother. You're going to be a better, spouse. You're going to be a better employee, boss, whatever you are. It accentuates everything else in your life. You're not being selfish. That's the thing. They think that they feel selfish. That I'm taking away time from the family. You're going to be better for your family. I mean, that's just the way it is.
absolutely, man. Yeah. And so, initially it was prioritize and plan, and plan is still in there, but I wanted to really, really focus on the prioritization. Prioritize you, because that's a piece that a lot of people are missing. And then the E stands for emphasize consistency, right? And so, knowing that, you can get on that train, man, and you're going 100 miles an hour to start, but then life starts to happen and things start to happen, and motivation is waning. So, the motivation kind of going down. You wake up one morning, it's cold outside, and you just don't feel like going to work out, or you're looking in the pantry and you're like, how do I have to get this smoothie again? Or do I have to, and so I like to I like to emphasize consistency, right? Like just get to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like make if you say you're gonna go 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just get there. Because when you get there, a lot of times, just being around other people doing the same thing you doing can motivate you. You might have, set out to go in there and have a heavy lifting day or whatever, but when you get there, you're like, you know what, let me just get on this treadmill and get this mile in or something. But you're there, right? And so, I tell people, like, win the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just win the day, if you have your checklist and you get 4 out of 6, you've won the day, right?
Right.
And so getting up and going and working out, or getting up, getting some movement, or you come home and you're like, I don't want this smoothie, but you might be able to get a healthier breakfast option. Man, just win the day. Just be consistent in those habits. You know what I'm saying? And then, winning the day helps you win the week. Winning the week helps you win the month. Winning the month helps you win a year, man. And if you win a year, then you're definitely gonna be a lot different than you were when you started January 1st.
Absolutely. I know that's part of your coaching philosophy. You talk about, hey, you can start at the platinum level when everything's just right. But every now and like around this time of year, you might need to go down to, the silver or bronze package, but keep at it. Don't quit. Just turn the
Right.
dial. Precision nutrition talks about turn the dial down. If you're normally on an 8, 9, 10, you may need to be on 2 or 3, but don't turn it off, right? So keep it up. That's what I
Exactly.
like about your philosophy on that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And so, doing and to that, I coach on the 90-10 rule, right? And so, the 90-10 rule, and people ask me all the time, like, man, I hear about 80-20, man. Why you coaching on 90-10? And I tell people, if you eat 100% clean 90% of the time, that's 10% that you can have pretty much what you want, right? So if you have 28 meals in a week, then you're looking at 10%. That's 3 meals. Now I'm saying 3 meals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means if you want 3 dinners where you can have what you want, that's cool, you know. But they ask, you know, it seems kind of strict. I'm like, it ain't that hard, but if you want to do 80-20, that's fine. But if I try to hit 90-10 and I hit 80-20, I still get a B, right?
Right.
But if I go for 80-20 and I miss, I'm a C student, right? So why not try to go for 90-10? And if I miss, I'm still on the AB honor roll. I'm still, you know, hitting the dean's list. But if I'm shooting for 80% and I miss, hey man, I'm a C student. I'm 2.0 around this bad boy. So
I ain't gonna say nothing because I was a 2.0 student, but man, I love everything. See, it's real life stuff. You hear too much that, you know, that looks great in a vacuum, but what about this busy mom with 3 kids? How does she make it work? And that's who you work with right there. That you make it work in real life. So, how can people pick up the book? Where can they get it?
man, so if you want to purchase the book, man, go to thepercybass.com. The THE Percy PERCY Bass BASS.com. I still got some of the some bonuses out there. I was gonna take them away around Thanksgiving, but people are still purchasing the book, so it's some really good bonuses out there. So I'm gonna have the bonuses out throughout the end of the year, and then I might change them up a little bit. But thepercybass.com. You can purchase your book. The book is $25, and again, it comes with some great bonuses, man. So y'all want to grab that, you're gonna learn again the back history of how the dope method was birthed. It's some really cool stories in there. If you hear me talking just like this, you're gonna hear me talking the same way in the book, man. Just being real transparent and just you know, keeping it 100 with everybody.
That's it. That's what works. I mean,
Yeah,
how much, what other way can you change your life? $25. And that's a steal right there, man. And what if
exactly.
people, you know, they like your vibe, they like the way, but could they work with you online? Do you work online with people and stuff like that?
I do. So I have a program called the SNAP method, right? So it's a SNAP method powered by it's SNAP powered by the dope method, right?
Okay.
And so SNAP stands for Sustainable Nutrition and Accountability Program. Keywords in there is sustainable and accountable, right? We
That's
just kind
great
of talked
words.
about
Yeah.
that. So you know, again, if they hit me up on the thepercybass.com, or you know, find me, you know, Percy Bass on Facebook or H2T Fitness on Instagram. Hit me up. It's an 8-week program. We go through that. We have the tail phase, we have the teach phase, then we have a maintenance phase, and so we just kind of go through that in 8 to 12 weeks, so that people can learn how to sustainably eat, you know, past the, you know, and not just be on like a program, but learn how to eat, learn how to navigate through, food labels and all of that, and going out to eat and stuff like that. So
That's
that's
great, man.
that's my online program that I do, you know, distance and, you know, anybody around my area.
Okay. Yeah, man, that's great. Build those nutrition skills you can use for life. You know, that's not something
Yep,
you're doing for 8 weeks. It's for life, man. That's what I like about that. Sustainable. That's a good word right
sustainable.
there. So, hey,
Yep.
Percy, thanks so much, man. Y'all see why I wanted to have him on, right? He's telling it like it is, but man, he's just straight up giving you real life advice you can use right now. There's something you learned in this episode. I guarantee you can put to use right away. So, man, share this episode with somebody. There's probably someone out there that maybe they're struggling. They need to hear what Percy's words today. Share the book with them. I'm going to link that in show notes. If some of y'all are 2.0 students and can't spell like me, I'll link that. You can just click on it. But Percy, man, keep up the great work. Like I said, we need more people like you out there.
Man, I definitely appreciate it, man, and keep being relentless, man. I love that. That's
That's it.
that's a word right there.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Hey, y'all share this episode. We'll see you next time.